Hey guys, welcome to my garage. Happy to show you today I'm going to be installing an orange top on my Ducati Panigale V2. It is a 2020. Again, for this channel, I don't know anything about anything, but I like to do my own work on my bikes, my cars, and I can get my hands into. If I break stuff, I break stuff, but it usually turns out pretty good. So let's get started. Here's my 2020 Panigale V2. I'll be installing an Optima orange top today. Here's the specialty charger that comes with it for a lithium-ion battery. Shouldn't be too hard of a job, but got to take some fairings off and some covers, so we'll be real careful. There's plastic and all sorts of other things that want to break. You know how the Italians are. So we're going to do it as easily as we possibly can. All right, guys, so I moved the bike over here in a bit of an easier spot to work on, trying to get some light on there. I'm just going to start dismantling, so I'm sure I'll probably do a time lapse and try to speed this up because it's all just boring. There's quite a few Allen keys, hex head bits. They're all 3mm as far as I know. Haven't found anything otherwise yet. There's a couple of plastic clips we want to hit, and once we can remove this middle fairing, we're going to leave this one remaining. Tank remains, a lower section remains, but another cover right inside of here, kind of in the steering section, that'll have to come off as well. When they all come off, we should have full access to the battery. When we do, we'll be able to swap out for the new one and use all the padded foam inserts to try to keep it from knocking about too much, and hopefully it works well. Let's get started. I like to use a magnetic nut and bolt catcher just so I don't lose anything, especially with this floor, which is great against any kind of staining or spillage, but it's a little speckled, so it's tough to see things when you drop them. So we're going to do our best to keep things where they belong. I'm noticing both of these screws have a plastic washer. It's a clear plastic washer. It looks protective of the paint, so I'm going to remember that's where they go. So if you can see, try to get you some light. It's not the easiest. There's a couple of plastic quick releases. There's two, and I believe they both have to come out for me to continue. So let me grab them. Come out pretty easy, just a little pop on the top and they're good to go. Perfect. That's two. This panel should come off now. Hopefully, we're gonna find out right now. I believe I'm gonna have to get another pop connection over here. I'm not quite sure which one of these I need to get, so I'm just gonna take them both. It's not gonna be any kind of a help or hurt if I do take them both, so that's my plan. I'll give you an update as soon as I figure out what was necessary versus not necessary to take off. They're all the same clips, so it's not a big deal. They're easy to get back in, also not a big deal until you lose one like I just did, but we're gonna have to open that up anyway, so note to self, find that other plastic clip. Three more on the top in front of the gas tank look like they're gonna have to come out. Just so I can get this, or at least just the one. Okay, the one came out and it's clear enough. I am in good shape. Okay, and I can see where the other plastic clip was captured. I'll be able to get that without this cover on, which will work out well. Okay, so inner plastic cover is off. I'm removing it now. It's not much to it. There's plastic behind there, so when you're taking it off, just be careful. All these clips, so this is a newer bike. It's only about 4 or 5 years old, so not too much problems. It's been garage kept. I don't expect too much dry rot or plastic problems, but that doesn't mean you can go in there like a crazy person and start ripping things off, because you will break things and then you're gonna end up going to the parts store and spending some stupid amount of money for something that you could have just protected by moving a little slower. I'm no professional mechanic at all, and I found when I was younger, I would rush through jobs that break a lot of things. I'm not old by any stretch, but I'm kind of in that middle zone right now where I take my time and I see a lot better results. So if that's any help to you guys, I would use that as your go-to action. So set that aside, let's see where we're at. There are 2 more screws that have to come out to separate the middle fairing from the front fairing. So I'm gonna get them now. There's one. These do not have the plastic washers on them, so they'll be easy to tell the difference from the others. Yet I've seen only the same 3mm hex head screw used everywhere. And as I said that, this one does have the washer. So the front one does, the back one does not. Truth be told, I had this off when I was doing the security system on the bike when I first got it. It might have been my fault missing that washer. Might not have been. But again, that's why you take your time, you put things where they belong, and hopefully you get better results than I do, because I just found something that was missing. So good stuff. We should be free at this point, I think. It looks like there is one more screw at the front. So it looks like one deviant screw at the front of the bike is a 4mm. And there she goes. Hey, I can hear the plastic clip that I screwed up bouncing around. We're gonna be able to grab him in a minute. I want to separate the bottom, if possible. Oh, I almost forgot one screw. It's hiding back here, right next to my old battery charger. We will be removing this typical battery tender connection, because the new Optima Orange Top comes with its own for the power commander, or whatever they call that specialty on-off switch, basically, for that battery. I think the difficult part of this entire install will just solely rely on how I route that connector. It is an on-off switch, kind of a kill switch for the battery, if you want to protect it from being stolen, I suppose. And this one's a much longer screw than anticipated, but not too bad. It's almost out. I just gotta do my best not to drop it. That would be good. There we go. That is a different screw from all the rest. So I'm going to isolate it in my little magnetic tray. Here are all the nuts and bolts, if that helps. That was the screw there. It had to come out, just so it's visible. That was where the other screw was, up underneath. And now, I believe this should all be free. And it should pop right off. Now, this back section here at the top, if you can see, I'll try to point it out. This section right here has to come to the back of the bike to be removed. There is a post with a ball tip on the end that I'll show you after I take it off. You have to be careful about it or you will break that fairing. So it kind of comes out from the front and slides back. I'll show you that right now. Success. Here's that plastic clip that popped from the inside of the front fender that I told you I lost. It gave itself back. I love that. Makes life easy. There is a catch here as well. So now, there it is. I'm connected somewhere. I cannot see. Oh, there it is. And success. Fairing off. Everything looks good in here. A little bit of dirt and debris where it's kind of pressed up against the case. I can see a battery. Beautiful. Let me set this aside. All right. Here's where the battery lives. That's what we're going to be replacing. You can see now what I was talking about, that ball end here. If you're not careful, to overcome that, you do have to pull quite a bit at the fender. So if everything is not free, that's going to give you a problem. But knowing it's there is half the battle. So you should be fine now that you know that. From the inside, here are the 1 and the 2 quick connectors that I pulled off, the plastic connector. I don't even know what they're called, but those things. Up in here, you can see you've got, to the left of this shot, 2 of the black plastic screw receivers. They hold the fender, the mid fender to the front fender directly. This other one right here, it's front and center with the nut that's captured in the plastic, that holds the little plastic cover that I popped off. So understand that that's the first, and once you take the plastic cover off, you'll be able to see those too. So let's see what has to be done here. I've never been in here before. I never had to. This looks like some kind of a cover for the battery box. Not quite sure how it's covered or why, but I do need to get that off if I want to access this. So, all right, looks like 2 connections of sorts that should just pop right up. I wanted to know that first before I broke anything. So, this here, if you can see it, I'll hold it in front of the light. That and that, they're basically small inserts. They pop into that hole and that hole. And from what I just showed, just a little bit of force, and this will come off nice and safe. No problem, didn't break anything. We're still doing really good. So that's not the goal. Okay, here's the battery in its battery box. This is the old lead that hooks to the typical battery charger. I'm not going to use that second time. It looks like I have some kind of a screw here. Plastic battery box. This may just flip open. It's got some rubber and such in there. Let's see what happens when I pull that screw out. It may give us all the access we want. So here we go. Well, that's interesting. I've got a 3 and a 4, and it was neither, unless I missed on the first one, which I may have. All right, so it's a very tight 4. I'm not Not sure how I feel about that. I certainly don't want to damage anything or mess the screw up. So, there we go. All right, it wasn't too bad, but it definitely needed love. I doubt it's an English or an SAE key, but who knows. All right, I'm going to utilize my little bendy guy. It's perfect for these situations. I just need to get the 4 from my disc. There we go. There we go. So with that out, this just lifted and pulled. Everything was happy. So again, success without breaking anything. Just like with the screws, I don't want to lose the tools in my loud speckled floor. So I'm taking it easy with those as well. Phillips head screwdriver on the tops of each of these. I'm going to take them off right now. All right. Negative terminal, positive terminal. They both have a tiny little Phillips head. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get to that. I got a little stubby jobber here, which it's not gonna do the trick. Love these Wera tools. Big shout out to them. It's pretty much my intention to only buy them for now, but they are kind of expensive, so I gotta work my ass off to get them. Do the right thing, Wera. Send me some awesome tools. You know what to do. See what we gotta do here. Disconnecting the negative side first so I don't blow anything up. All right, that's gonna be a pain in the arse. Obvi. It's actually a small nut. Looks to be like a 1/4 inch potentially. I think that is going to be a smarter approach. So let me snag that. Here's a 7mm, could be that. Okay, it's not a 7. Therefore, it must be an 8. Why wouldn't it be? And it's funny what I'm looking at here. The charger was kind of installed cattywampus. That came from the dealer. That was never me. Just goes to show you don't trust anybody working on your motorcycles, your cars, anything, unless it's you, because nobody's going to care like you care. Again, I'm not a professional mechanic. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm mechanical enough to know how to use some tools, and it's enough to get myself into trouble. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to care more than anybody else who's going to work on the car. And I think that puts me in a safer position, especially on 2 wheels. If somebody is having a bad day in the shop or just doesn't do their job, you go down, not cool. I'm sure everybody out there with a motorcycle's heard the horror stories about picking their bike from the shop and going down a mile out because of something stupid. I'm not saying you can't do that to yourself, but when you know it's you that's going to be on that bike, I think it's a little more important. And the funny thing was, I thought I was going to make this video with just a couple of tools because it really is simple. There's nothing happening here, but truth be told, it is only 3 different tools necessary, but I'm needing every single different version of it just to get through all these weird clearance issues and so on. So. All right, there's the battery terminal screw. I got it. Negative is off. I'm going to pull that out of the way so it's safe. There are 2 wires, it looks like, that go onto it. I'm not going to have the same luck with the positive side. There is still stuff in the way. I'm thinking I'll use a universal joint for this. I have a tiny one, I believe. There's my tiny little universal. That's where she's hiding. That's the wire piece that's kind of in my way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to miss it anyway. Yeah, still not what I want. I'm going to have to try to figure out how to remove this, or at least get it out of the way safely without damaging anything, because there's plastic clips and everything else here. they're both leaning against this fairing, which I didn't think I had to take off, but there's one screw there. And not quite sure what else. It looks like maybe one screw here. I'm going to pull it off just because. I think it's going to make it easier anyway. When I go to route the power link, I called it a power commander earlier. It's whatever. I have no idea what I'm talking about anyway. It's called a power link, and it is the on-off and charge indicator to the new orange top battery. So both of those screws are completely different from every other screw we've taken off thus far. That's fun. And now for a change, it looks like a nut. The first nut we've encountered to be removed. Results. All right. Where did it go? Right there. There, we got it. Okay. So there was these little, I guess I'd call it a nut, to receive the screw that we just removed. Hopefully, the new battery's hardware will replace that, because what I'm looking at on both of these is very slight corrosion. I'm not too concerned about that. They're just soft. And they don't look like they were ever sharp to begin with as far as the nut is concerned. So they seem like they'd always be a problem. And even if the new hardware didn't come with it, I would find a way to go grab some new ones, because these are junk and they're going to be junk forever. So don't want to reuse these. Let's go see what we got on the workbench that came with the battery. So here are the two that I just pulled out. And yes, the new battery does have its own. It's going to come with everything needed, which is great. So that makes me happy. These old ones we don't need. Let's take these pads, because we're going to have to fit out. The new battery is much lighter, much smaller, and we use these to kind of go around the battery and protect it so it doesn't bounce around. So here we are. Here's the charger. I don't know why the screen is it's very dimly lit, but if you can see, it says that it's charging, maintaining a charge, 12 volts, I'm sorry. Lithium-ion battery is on full. The green indicator light tells me that it's great. Here is the battery, it's happy. Here is the power link showing green, which means it's happy. So I'm going to disconnect it. It is now disconnected. We're going to take this little guy over. At the same time, I'm going to silence this because there's nothing connected, and it's yelling at me because of that. Original battery, new battery. Much smaller. I put them up against each other. There's a bit of a height difference and certainly a width difference to overcome. And here then, like I said, is the power link, which you can use as a kill switch for the battery, an on button for the battery. It'll also tell you with these LEDs, which we're going to go over later after I put everything together, what they mean. It's only two lights, one's amber, one's green, but together they can give you any number of communication about the status of your battery. Okay, I showed you the difference in the size of the batteries. Here are my choices. For foam, this is a thick one. If I place it on the end here, that looks almost perfect. I mean, now we're same width all the way around. Now I just have a slight height issue. I've got these longer ones, which are about the same size as the battery, so I'm wondering that if I end up putting this, I'm just using this as a visual aid. If I use that for here, now my height is the same and my width is the same. Challenge that I'm noticing right now is the position of the terminals. Yes, this battery is awesome. It's got 4 different positions. They're clearly marked. You got your positive, you have your negative. That's not the challenge. The challenge is there were some very tight connectors on the original battery that were almost molded into place to catch these 2 positions. And although one will be in the same spot, roughly, another one's gonna have to move over, what do you think, 2 inches, give or take. So I'm gonna be mindful of that when I'm in there and see, is the negative or the positive easier to slide over? And whichever one will dictate how I'm gonna orient the battery. Also, where I plan to mount this, which I have no idea yet, I'm going to need to look for a suitable spot and make sure that I have enough length and ability to route this and then not cover it with a fairing when I'm done. So, as I was saying earlier, and let me move this light into place for you. Here's the positive, and it's pretty stiff, and it's in the right spot to catch. And then here's the negative. It looks like I'll have a lot more ease moving the negative. So that is my my plan, to slide everything down this way, which means that these stay in the same spot, which means that I can take this and maybe pop it back into place without incident. There we go. Is it happy? I think so. I don't even know what it is. Let's pop it open and see what it is. Oh, it's a fuse box. Excellent. Has a bunch of little fuses. Everybody's happy. Life is good. Okay. Let us seek out a possible place for my power link. A lot of this is not too visible when everything's together. I think it would look silly here on the frame slider. Could look okay. I don't really want to attach to this, but it could be here. It would work. You kind of have a visibility spot here. This is covered. This is covered. I guess some people maybe move it up to the steering damper. It could go, but I really don't want to mess with that. It seems a bit more important than a battery indicator. There's not a lot more room for anything else in the cockpit. I know, I said cockpit. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you all. I don't quite see a suitable spot. So let me offer it up and see what happens if I decided I only have so many hands. If I decided for it to sit here, I guess that could work. I'd have to route it in back through some of these cables. I don't think I'm going to have too much of a heat issue because I see some wire routing. There's wires here, there's other shielding that's really nothing special. So I don't think there's going to be a heat issue coming this way. So maybe, just maybe, this will be where I mount it. Seems maybe not ideal. I thought potentially too, maybe in the back, underneath of the rear seat. The challenge with that is getting there. I don't think that this length is going to be enough for me to get all the way back there. So, frame slider it is, guys. Now luckily with this orange top you can flip the power link from one side to the next so that you get exactly what you need, which is going to be that side, because I'm routing it to the back. I also have to hide that loop somewhere. That also means that I'll be using this as my positive and this is my negative. I'm going to try to hook the positive up first and see how that goes. I'm thinking these are sticky. I think I pre-stick these so that I know where everything's going to kind of live. Looks like from the factory, whoever installed this battery, they kind of dog-eared the rubber. Let's see if I can get you a shot of that. Here's the rubber here, and it's kind of an insert. This whole piece is an insert, but they put the battery on top of that. When I go to reinstall, I am going to do my best to get the battery behind this, because that's kind of retain it. There's not a lot other here to retain it other than the fact that the power, positive and negative, are both very stiff cables. So once they're attached, that will also help retain the battery. But I don't want to create an issue where the battery can bounce or remove itself unwanted. There is a fender right here, and that fender has some foam in it. Let's go look at that. So here's the fender. Here's the inside of the fender, and it's got foam. You can see kind of the outline of the old battery or whatever was there, and that's the battery box front corner. And back corner, it's really pressed in, so the battery's not going to have a chance to move once I get this on. So I feel a little bit better about that. If you're keeping track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts had to come off, and that many nuts and bolts. But truth be told, as I said before, I'm no professional mechanic whatsoever. So of course, just like you guys are watching this on YouTube, I'm sure, you know, I'm looking at videos beforehand, trying to get familiar with whatever it is I'm about to face. Make sure I have the right tools, the right parts, just the knowledge not to break something. It doesn't take you very long to quickly hop in and out of a how-to video and get a familiarity with what you're about to face that will save you parts. You're not going to break things as often as you would if you were just trying to figure it out yourself. It could be really daunting of a task for you to figure out that once everything's removed, you've got to remove it that direction. There's no way to see that before it's off. Without that knowledge or intimacy with what you're about to do, you really can damage some expensive parts, because that fairing, I'm sure, isn't cheap. I don't even want to know how much it costs to then paint and anything else. I don't know if they come from the factory painted, but there's logos, and it's not something I want to get into. Could we do it? Absolutely. Would it be hard? Probably not, but it's going to cost you coin, and why? Why replace something you don't have to replace? So, just a little insight. Getting easily frustrated at this point that these cables are so stiff, they really only want to live in one spot, and that's the original spot from the factory. And to not lose my marbles, I'm just going to move my stuff around a little bit, get myself a little bit more room. Here's the old charging cable we don't need anymore. I'll save it. There's no reason to ever get rid of these. You never know what vehicle is going to need a quick battery charge from a tender. But without the power link, or with the power link on this, I don't need that because the charger hooks directly into this, and it kind of meters everything. So keeps the smart charging smart. There's definitely a height disparity here that I need to overcome for that terminal. I'm wondering that if I swap these around, if it will help me. Also come in from above. There we go. So swapped around, give a little bit of a bend. Be careful when you're bending power cables like this, because you bend it one time, you should be fine. You bend it a few times and it's going to eventually break. It's just soft metal. The last thing you want to do is break it. I put two of the small metal inserts in because the other one was sitting down so low. I thought I might have a challenge getting it to start. I think that if I start it, I can remove one of the two, no problem. Certainly is not ideal. These small nuts keep coming out. I'm going to put a small piece of electrical tape on there just to keep those sons of guns where they belong, because they're trying to test my patience on camera. So, electrical tape, if you can see me back here. I didn't do anything special. I simply put just a touch of electrical tape to keep those from falling out because they were driving me nuts. So now, rather than try to start the screw first, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to home the battery, put it where it belongs, bring those things where they belong, which is going to be maybe a touch of a fight, but get them where they got to go, and then I'll just see how it goes. Just keeping these things dynamic was not helping me. Trying to keep this rubber in here from being wrong like it was before. There we go. Okay. She's kind of where she wants to be. This is going to fit in there, and that's nice. Actually, I might actually have to use two because there's still a small gap there that I think I want to overcome. I still have two negative terminal. Let me just get them seated first. Let me get this out of here. I've got this and this. This will come over. That's good. This one will most likely not. Why? Let's remove this and see what's back there. The ground comes from below. It's a very short cable. I'm not too concerned about that. I'm glad that I'm leaving the positive homed. Comment below if you guys have done this conversion and done it either of the other ways to kind of orient the battery. Any insights greatly appreciated. Like I said, I don't know anything about anything, and I just kind of learn as I go, which is good. And that's kind of the voice of the video is you don't need to know what you're doing to get in here and still do it right. So there you go. So I got it started. I pulled my electrical tape off, and awesome side note is it pulled out the other extra washer that I put in there to help me get the first one started. So that was kind of nice. It's not homed because these cables are not going to allow it to sit homed to either the left or the right side, which I find interesting, but it is what it is. I have to deal with that, and understanding, I suppose, is half the battle. I had to come in from the side now with the power. This used to come straight from behind, but if you can see this space here from the edge of the battery to the post, and this one's covered up obviously, but it's the same back here. The natural position of this cable, or the formed position of that cable, which is very short, does not get there. So unless I'm coming from the side like this on the slight angle, it won't work. So again, now the battery, instead of being oriented all the way to the right, is going to kind of follow a center line, and then I'm going to just stuff that foam in all the way around it after we're done. So, interesting update. Knowing what I had to go through on the power side, I'm going to grab a set of pliers to just lessen the 90-degree angle on that negative terminal cable, so that, like the power side or the positive side, I can come in from the edge of the battery instead of from behind, because that's the only way this is going to work. So basically this here, and I'm going to try to show you what we're facing. If this stays in its position, it'll never reach that. it has to be bent too much. So the smarter thing here is going to be to take it, straighten it just a little bit, and then try to get this to be on the edge. We're going to turn it to the edge and let that be what it is. So, all right, battery is in place. Everything is connected. It's not fully tightened down yet. I want to make sure that I get a good connection on all my terminals. All right, so I don't know if the battery's on or not. I don't know anything. I just know that it's not going to move. It's very secure. I do still have to put foam in. Let me give you a bit of a tour of the way the cables are now run. So I'm very close to the left side, not the right side, which I originally anticipated. I'm coming in from the side with the power cable, which seems super easy. This one I was able to, the negative terminal, I was able to bend it a little bit differently. And I'll be honest with you, I felt better about bending the negative cable because it's a very short cable that just goes to the frame below the battery box. And I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's definitely in there. Yep. I'm just taking a peek on this side of the bike to see the reference for what type of access I'm going to have with these parts. There's very little, so where I actually end up placing this, who knows? I wonder if there's any merit to bringing it to this side of the bike, because it looks like I have more freedom, but honestly, no, I'm not going to do that, and here's why. These bikes are notorious for having just an absolute ton of heat buildup in this section and underneath of the seat, and I don't want to go anywhere near that. I'm going to stay right over here where all the other electronics are. I believe that's going to give me the best possible conditions for not damaging this power link. I'm also going to leave this length like this until the entire bike's back together, because it may just present itself with a really nice spot to be. For reference, this was where the other one was. It just kind of hung out right here. So maybe this one just wants to hang out right there. That might be what I do. I might actually do that now. There we go. It came with this pretty little Velcro strap connecting holder, whatever you want to call it, and I will use it. It seems to be the right thing to do. There we go. Looks safe and sound. It's hidden behind stuff. This is accessible. Once I get everything together, if I decide that I'm going to take this and wire tie it down, I can. I can access the button, and it doesn't look like it's going to bother anything else in the system. But again, until I get all the fairings back on, I'm not going to make that decision. I want to see everything else offered up and go from there. So let's get the top of the battery cover back on. I will say, it's kind of nice how they have all of these relays marked clearly, heat sinks. Quite impressive the way that the bike is made, not gonna lie. Okay, let us just familiarize ourselves with the back of this thing. get those two rubber pieces. All right, looks like bolt, bolt, and bolt. I've got 3 with at least 1, 2 positions to pop it into. All right, there's the nut down there. And I got the 2 larger screws, if you remember, when I pulled them out. So I've got this screw and this screw, and they are still the 4 millimeters. Putting it back together, this and that were 2 different screws, kind of unique to themselves. This battery cover's back on top. It's really not sitting perfectly because of the routing of this cable. So hopefully it doesn't tend to kick us in the butt as we're putting it together, but I'm putting this panel back on now, which means that this nut here has to be tightened. And once tightened, we're good. So let's get to it. Excellent. Good and tight. All right. This and that, it's all good. I got another cover here. This used to live right in here. Excellent. And it just kind of locks in behind that. And everything stays, from what I'm looking at, happy. Nothing wrong there. We're getting really close. Let's get this main fairing back on. When I routed the cables, I left this kind of hanging here. I don't know yet whether or not I'm going to wire tie it here or not, but either way, I don't feel like it's in the way of anything, and I can see my indicator. If I want to maybe hide it, I can hide it. If I don't have to, and I can still access this to turn the battery on and off and get any error readings that it may give me. So hopefully this is a good spot. Offering again to the class, if anybody has a better way of routing that or something really cool or creative that they did to put that power link somewhere awesome on the bike, I'd love to hear about it, as I'm sure everybody else listening or watching would as well. If you're facing this yourself, sight unseen, there's not a lot of videos about it, there's not a lot of people showing you what they're doing, and this particular bike, because it's so buttoned up with all the fairings, there's not a lot of places that I see where that could go that would be real interesting or neat. So love to hear from you guys. I'm going to say that this goes back on the way it came off. I'm going to have to catch it around the back and then offer it into place for everything else. I think, just so that I don't hurt or damage anything because of all this plastic, I'm going to shoot for catching this back and this part here, and then getting this up where it belongs and putting the screw through it. Success. All right, so right, wrong, or indifferent, catching this on the back side wouldn't allow me to catch the 2 screws up here in the front that you saw me take off, and even further yet, get this over here. So what I ended up doing was I took it all off, started with the front side, these 2 particularly, so that it didn't scratch or hurt anything, and now it looks like everything else kind of went exactly where it's supposed to go. Great success. Let's throw some screws in. And remember, the ones on the fairings all had those clear plastic washers, of which I was missing one up here in the front. I don't think it's a big deal up in the front, so I don't feel like I have to go ordering any parts or washers. I don't have anything here, or I would grab it and use it. When mounting these, it looks like you kind of want to hold your gaps. We can go back and adjust if anything seems really out of place when we're done, but I think just holding it to what looks good, you know, while you're doing it, it's probably gonna be sufficient. Aha! Sorry, screwed up. This bottom part has to catch on the front first, so let me remove this and I should be able to get what I want. Again, the engineers that make these bikes are very smart. This long bolt that I'm removing right now, basically allows this panel to shift. That, once engaged fully, won't allow you to get that on the front. So it's kind of a safeguard, it seems. But now I should be able to get it. There we go. Everybody's good? Yep, everybody's good. Success. None of these parts are difficult. None of these fasteners are difficult. But you really do have to take your time so that when engaging with them, you don't break them, drop them, lose them. As you saw when I took that last one that I put on, when I took it off, it had bounced inside of the fairing and I didn't get it back until I pulled the whole fairing off. So kind of the last thing I wanted to do at this point in the project is to have to pull the whole bike back apart. So keep that in mind. All right, for those of you keeping track, and that's the Philly that just came out, the U's. Here's our last piece. I didn't have to do it when I took it apart, but just because of, I want to be thorough, I want to take the cover forward of the gas tank off a little more. Because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to end up fighting this cover. And although it was easy to take off, it was in its home position, and right now we just really don't know where that home position is just yet. So rather than take chances that would potentially harm this cover or that cover or crack anything, I'm not taking that chance. Okay, bike's back together. Everything looks great. All the panel gaps are good. I'm happy with everything. I'm very happy with where this is. It's not in the way. It's not going to get damaged. I can pull it out when I need to charge the bike. Otherwise, it'll live over here. I'm not going to put a wire tie on it yet because I want to see how it kind of functions in the world. This was the part that I removed. This was the old battery tender typical connector. If you guys are familiar, I'm sure you have these on your bike. A lot of times the factory will put them on, or the dealership that you pick them up at, because these are great. Keep the bike on a tender. Whoever did this one did not feel like taking the battery apart. He didn't pull the screws out. What he did was he took both of these eyelets and he cut them to slip them on. Now, that's the dealership. That's ridiculous. Why? What time did you really save by not pulling a screw out, slipping this under as an eyelet, and then screwing it back down? And before I had even loosened the negative terminal on this bike, the negative was already falling off because of what they did. Let this just be kind of like a warning. Don't cheap out. Don't half-ass things. It's only going to cause you problems down the road. I never had a problem with this, but the bike's only 4 or 5 years old. When this bike gets older, these things fall off. They get damaged, they get yanked on, they get pulled, whatever it might be, and then you're going to have a loose terminal, because without this in there as a shim, the height changes for what the screw is holding down. So what was once tight will no longer be tight. I did not have to replace this battery. The battery, probably because of being on a tender, would have lasted for years to come. I wanted to. This new battery is lighter, smarter. The charger on the wall is nicer. It kind of fits into my ecosystem just much better. And I'm all about upgrading things. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope some of this was usable or helpful for you. Again, I don't know anything about anything, but I'm willing to hop in there and try. Get your hands dirty, have a good time. When you're done, you'll be at the car show, the bike meet, riding around with your buddies, and you can just feel a little better about yourself knowing that your hands were the ones that touched it, fixed it, keep it going. It feels good, it's a sense of accomplishment, and I enjoy doing it. So hopefully you guys do too. Hopefully you enjoyed watching the video, and until next time. I know I just did the sign off, but I forgot one thing. Let's start the bike again now that it's all back together. I'm sure you guys want to know that it's going to work. I got the key. Fuel pump's on, everything's working. That's a plus. All right, guys, just a quick follow-up on the video we just shot. I did set the date and the time, and then I turned the battery off, and it's the ignition. I was able to turn it on and still got power to the bike, so I'm not quite sure if it just doesn't give you enough cranking amps or what. So everything's good, kept time, kept date, everything's done. Let's see it in its natural environment. It's happy. I'm going to plug it into the charger. Like I said, here's the wall-mounted Optima charger for the orange top battery. Works well with the lithium-ion and smart charger that we both just watched the install for. Here is the connection. See if I can do it with one hand. I doubt it, but do my best. Almost. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. I am in and on. I did unplug the charger because it likes to beep when it's not on. So let's plug it back in and watch what happens. So fired up, it's happy. It's checking what it's found. And then I'll select lithium ion. And there you go. So the blinking back and forth means it's charging. Everybody's happy. The charger, although the screen is a bit dim, it says that it's analyzing the battery. It's going to tell me exactly how much charge it is and then proceed to charge it fully so that it's good to go. So thanks for watching. I hope that it was entertaining in some form or fashion, but more videos to come. Can't wait. So have a great day, guys.